Hi, my name's Mark Souza. I'm putting this video together for fisherman safety. Basically, we're talking about wader safety. What happens when you fall into the river or lake that you're fishing? What do you need to know? So I'll relay a couple of stories of my own. When I was younger, I've done some things wading that were very stupid. I once fished a tailwater stream that where the irrigation season had just started. It was the middle of the stonefly hatch, and the river I was fishing was running full, bank to bank, raging, but clear, and the road ran along one side but didn't run along the other. So I thought, hey, the fishing might be better on the other side, away from where people will have easy access. So I traveled up and down the river for miles trying to find a place where the water was shallow enough that I might be able to cross. Found a spot, started on my way. Literally, I had a stick to help me, because every time I put my feet down in the water to try and anchor them, just touching boulders would send them skittering away. The water was so fast. And immediately downstream of me, the water got deeper, and there was no chance that I'd be able to touch bottom if something happened to me. And as I had driven up and down the river for miles, I knew that there was no safe place for me to get out. I wound up making it across. It took me about 45 minutes to get that 25 yards, taking one step at a time. Then I got over there, fished for about an hour, found out the fishing was no better on that side, and realized I had to make the same trip back. Fortunately, I'm still alive. The second thing that happened to me, I was fishing a river. It has kind of cloudy water. Really couldn't see my feet. Was probably in about 3 feet of water. About 10 feet further out than I could cast at the time was a line of fish on a seam line rising for flies. So I scooched my way out to get a little bit closer, and little did I know that I was actually on a flat boulder. And I took one step, went straight down about 8 feet. My hat was floating on the surface, but fortunately, where I was fishing, there was almost no current. I made it back fine. So let's take a look at what kind of wading equipment most people use, and what you can do once you find yourself in the water. Okay, so here are the three types of waders most commonly used fishing. I've got a pair of neoprene stocking foots here. These are used primarily in cold water, either lake fishing, where you're going to be in cold water for 8-12 hours at a time, or winter steelheading. This is a standard pair of breathable chest waders, stocking foot, and this is a pair of hip waders, also breathable, stocking foot. I'm going to start with the neoprene waders, because the thing about neoprene waders is if you're wearing those, they are practically a flotation device. Now, some people are going to comment during the video that, hey, you didn't put wading boots on. How do we know? You know, what happens when you have wading boots on? Fact of the matter is, it's not going to affect this much, and I am going to put wading boots on for the worst case situation, which are chest waders, standard chest waders. And through the power video, I'm in my waders and I'm in the lake. Now, a lot of you may be asking, what qualifies this fat old man to give a video on wading safety? Well, I've been a fly fisherman for 45 years. That probably doesn't do it. I was a competitive swimmer and water polo player for a decade. Pretty much all that qualifies me for is that I'm a strong swimmer and feel comfortable in the water. I was also a water safety instructor, and I did learn a few things through that. Okay, so no more stalling. I'm going to show you what happens when you fall in with a set of neoprene waders on. Woo! It's a little cold, but you'll notice I'm floating pretty well, and I've assumed a position. We will talk about the position in a little while. Okay, the other thing you'll notice, I'm in a lake that's, right now, I'm probably in about 3.5 feet of water, and that's purely for safety, because even though I'm showing you this stuff, it's probably been 40 years since I've done it, and Later on, I'm going to kind of encourage you guys to go out and practice some of this, what I'm showing you now, maybe in a swimming pool in the shallow end while someone's watching you, just so you get comfortable with it and so you know what it feels like and you know what you're doing. Okay, now through the magic of video again, I'm now in my chest waders. Now, one thing I want to point out here is with standard chest waders, this is a very vital piece of safety equipment. Do not go wading without your wading belt. I'll explain in a second. What the wading belt does is it slows down, if you happen to fall, the flow of water into your waders. Now when I go in here in a little bit, after I do my first shot where I'm going to take a nice easy fall, I've got the belt on, and after that's all complete, I'll do a worst case scenario. I won't wear the belt. What'll happen is I will fill these things up with about 10 gallons of water. Water weighs 8 pounds a gallon, so that's about 80 pounds in my waders, and we'll see what happens then. For now, just a nice easy plunge. Okay, I've assumed the position again. All is not lost. I'm able to swim, even with my boots on. Okay. There's the air. So, the thing for you to notice there, that should be, when you start a fall, if you realize you're going over, it's vital that you bend at the hips and the knees. By bending at the hips and the knees as you're going down, it traps the air in your waders. And your waders go from something that might kill you to flotation that might save you. Okay? Now you've seen me say a couple of times already, assume the position. Assuming the position means get on your back, keep those hips and knees bent, then you're in a position to swim, usually backwards, the direction that your head is pointing, okay? And that's the most effective way to swim with waders. Okay, now I'm going to take off my safety device, and I'm going to completely fill these waders with water, and I'm going to make one more attempt. Are you catching that? Okay. As you can tell, I just released the last of my air from my waders. Completely full of water now. I'm not wearing a belt. Essential safety equipment, as I said before. And now let's see what happens. I'm going to attempt to swim a little. Let me see what this looks like when I stand up. You can see my legs are completely full on. So, with so much weight in water, how was I able to swim? Well, the one qualification I left out of this earlier is that I'm an engineer. Now, something you need to know about water is, yes, there may be 50, 70 pounds of water in here with me, but water has a density of 1, which means it's no heavier than any of the water that's around me. So it's not actually taking me down at all. The thing that makes waders so difficult to swim in, 1, they restrict your movement, and 2, they create a lot of drag. So if you weren't comfortable in the water before, this just makes that worse. And even if you're like me and you've had lots of experience in the water, it's a little bit uncomfortable moving around with waders on. You're not nearly as efficient, so it can be scary. Like I said, the one thing I'd like to point out is, if it's possible, if you can arrange with a pool to do a little bit of work in their shallow end with a lifeguard present, explain to them exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it, just for safety. It's a really good idea to go out there and maybe practice this. Practice the position, which is, and the motion, the knee bend and the hip bend, like so, to trap the air in your waders, and also practice swimming around a little bit and getting a feel for what that's like. Now, if you do happen to go in, that's only the beginning of your adventure, because depending on your situation, like I said, I was in a situation where if I got swept downstream, it was going to be very difficult to find a place where I could get out, and there are a lot more perils to come. But the first thing you need to do is know how to save your life in the short term, which is take a position, get on your back, and get ready to swim. All right, I hope to see you in the next video. My entire purpose in making this video was potentially to save a life. The only way it can save a life is if fishermen see the video. If you know a fisherman, please share or copy the link and send it to them. If you like what you've seen, hit like. And if you want to be notified of the next video that's coming along, hit subscribe. Thank you.